Greetings and salutations. We hope you're having a great day. And we means me and Storianne, who's the puppy sitting over there, waiting for me patiently, or impatiently as the case may be, to get done. Hey, this morning we're going to be reading from Mark chapter 12. We're going to read 1 to 12. But I want us to back up to last week's lesson first, and I want to get you to read 11:27 through the end of the chapter, and then, of course, 12 through 12. So if you've, chapter 12, verse 12. So if you haven't read all that together, take a pause and come back when you've read that. All right, now the reason I wanted you to read that in advance and read the two pieces together is because the first story, the story about Jesus' authority, really it sets up this parable. Jesus is talking to a specific group of people here, the Sanhedrin, or the three classes of Sanhedrin. It's sort of like our three branches of the government. The Sanhedrin is made up of the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders. So we have these three groups, elder statesmen, powerful people, who make up the Jewish law court. Now the law court, of course, only had limited abilities in a Roman-occupied nation. But nonetheless, here they are, and they are the ones who at least run the religious law. And so Jesus has been challenged in his authority, and they don't get an answer. They certainly don't get the answer they were hoping they would get. And then Jesus launches into a parable, and this parable is aimed at them, and they know it. So let's look at the parable real quick. First is that you've got the story, and it's a parable. Of course, it's representative of what God has done. And the vineyard owner, the owner of this big vineyard, has hired people to take care of it, and that's sharecropping essentially. The owner gets a part, probably most, of the profit, and the workers get a portion of the profit. Those who are taking care of it. So it comes time for the harvest, and he sends a servant. He's killed. He sends another servant. He's killed. He sends a third servant, which is sort of unusual because by the third time normally but he's killed as well. Now at this point, 3, which is like the magic number in Judaism, 3, 7, and 40 are the three major numbers, if you will, that all talk about completeness. So this is done. At this point normally, that's when the owner would step in and send his armies and take care of the problem. But he doesn't. It says in verse 6, he had one left to send. He sent his son. Now, come back out of the parable for a minute and let's look at what that means. He had one left to send. He had run out of options. He had sent every prophet. He had sent John. He had sent Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah. All these prophets have gone in and tried to announce, if you will, what God wanted, what God was calling for in the kingdom of God. And so here we've got, if you will, the story of God. And God says, I've come to my wit's end. I have no one left to send. You don't get it. And so he sends his son. And of course the parable talks about what happens next, or what's going to happen next. They kill the son, and the vineyard owner is like, okay, now I'm really done with you. And he sends. Now the whole key of this, of course, is that the vineyard owner is God. Jesus is going to be killed, has not yet been killed, obviously. But nonetheless, this is Jesus talking about, hey, God has tried and tried and tried and tried to get through to you. And, of course, they don't get it. Or perhaps they do get it. And therein lies some good discussion. Did they get it? Did they not get it? What did they get? What did they not get? Why are they so threatened? Hey, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.